What's up, folks? Welcome to the third episode of SEM Saturday, a raw, uncut, unedited weekly video series, or close to weekly as best as we can, where we teach you how you can attract, convert, and retain more customers to your business through search marketing. I'm your host, Riley Farbaugh.
I'm Bobby Massa.
And we're both working in Monte Verde Media, and we want to talk to you guys today about the onboarding process for potential clients and what's included in a site audit and stuff along those lines. So this came up in last week's episode, and we just touched on it just a little bit, and we're hoping to expand on what we talked about last week. So if you haven't seen last week's episode, go check it out. But so Bobby, tell the people what we talked about last week.
Last week we talked about just what Riley might be finding with clients, whether they're established businesses or brand new, like common mistakes that you can find and little improvements you can make to SEO. We briefly touched upon what might be like a few things that he would start out with when he takes on a client. But what we're going to do this week is really get into the details of the onboarding process for a new client with Monte Verde Media.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we talked a little bit last week about how e-commerce businesses use search marketing and some of the common mistakes that we see, even on people who are kind of leading the industry. There's room for improvement even at the top of the food chain. So what we want to walk through today is like some of what we can bring to a potential client to help grow their business. And the beginning of our relationship, I start off all my clients with a site audit so that I can understand the competition around the client, what their current strategy is, and really delve into analytics and see what's working for them, what's not, where we can improve, and things like that. So I guess we should start with why a client would want a site audit. Mm-hmm. What are your ideas there, Bobby?
Well, I think that it's important for the client to gain an understanding of where exactly they stand with their search engine optimization and how they're faring, with their current setup. And I think it would just being able to show them, hey, we can take these steps here. We'll have a nice structured plan for you to really improve your organic clicks on your website. And I think that's just more of a long-term strategy than something along the lines of just paid advertising,
Yeah, that's a good point. So I was discussing with Bobby recently how I get propositioned for a lot of small projects. Clients will ask me to do something for 2 or 5 hours as a sort of a one-time project. And it's something that I did do when I was starting out in this business just to gain some experience and gain some credibility. But now that the business is established and we're kind of struggling to keep up with demand at this point, like we're really getting to a point where we can pick and choose who we work with and who we don't work with. So the reason we start off all our clients with a site audit is to gain an understanding of what specifically a certain client needs. And the reason I tend to shy away from those 2 or 5 hour projects is because, a business owner will proposition you for these small projects believing that that's what they need, but that might not actually be what they actually need. So if I really dig into a website and understand what's going on here with the analytics, what's going on in search, what are the conversion goals. We work with a lot of e-commerce clients, so which products are converting at a high rate, which products are interesting to users, most page views and things like that. And then we're also looking, so you guys can probably see this table of contents behind us. I think everything is backwards on the screen, which is kind of a bummer, but you'll get a general idea of what a site audit includes. So Bobby, do you want to just run through this list real quick and just let people know like a general outline?
Yeah, by all means. So we're going to start out with an audience overview, followed by researching traffic sources and trends, the most visited or the most viewed pages on that domain, the performance of the various products that are being sold on the e-commerce websites, and an analysis of competition. After that, we're going to be taking a look at your search visibility, your keyword research, where we research, keywords that you could be including in all your blog posts to increase your visibility. Backlink analysis, social media overview, and mobile usability, which is very important. You don't want your site to be difficult to use on phones. After that, we're going to dig in a little deeper with on-site linking analysis. You want to create a lot of internal links so that everything builds more credibility with Google's search engine, algorithm.
And just to facilitate better navigation for users also.
Yeah, exactly. You want it so that your page is credible to them too. And so if you're, linking to the page, it just shows that you have a lot of content and you really thought out the process of making your website. So speaking of like Google Analytics, the next step is going to be crawl errors, just finding the errors for the little Google crawlers that analyze your website. Sitemap 13 is structured data, followed by an AdWords report. After that, we review any site issues and we come up with a strategic action plan that includes key performance indicators so that you can really optimize the search engine results for your web page.
Yeah, so really what we're getting at here is that our site audits are a really big project. It takes a lot of time, and it's something that we have to do with each client. We have to do keyword research, or we're not going to be effective. We have to understand the structure of their website, or we're not going to be effective. So there's all these different areas where we have to see if the box is checked or unchecked, and dig deeper also to see, maybe it's partially checked and we have to dig into that and improve it.
I'm sure there are a lot of clients out there who just want to, hire you for like 4 hours and just say, hey, like optimize my SEO, like let's get it going. 4 hours later you should have, like 80% of the work done, right? Like
yeah, I always laugh at those clients. My first client up here in Burlington actually hired me for 2 hours, and then he came back to me about a week or two later and he goes, why isn't my search traffic skyrocketing?
That's just what they don't get.
They don't understand search engine optimization is a long-term strategy.
Exactly. It's like a long-term investment. It's not just going to happen right away. It's kind of more AdWords, but that's what we're doing. We're trying to increase the organic traffic, and that takes a little while to build up, but it's much more sustainable than little short-term fixes.
Yeah. So Bobby just made a good point in that, a lot of clients are looking for that quick, easy fix. And AdWords can provide that in a lot of instances because it's, you pay Google or you pay Bing to put you up there on the search results, and that can be an effective method of advertising for a lot of people. But I want to differentiate here between advertising and marketing in that advertising you're spending dollars versus marketing, which SEO more falls under, versus advertising is, it's organic. You're getting that traffic. It's not paid, and it's repeating month after month.
Right, you're creating a following with your products and your pages and whatnot.
Exactly. So I want to dig a little bit deeper into some of these bullet points. Audience overview, that's where we're going to be digging into Google Analytics, looking at some of your demographics. Who are we writing content for? Who is looking at this stuff? Because, we don't want to be sending the wrong message to an audience who, in marketing, a lot of people will talk about customer personas and tailoring messages to different customer personas. So we have to understand that as search marketers also and understand who's looking at the traffic or who's looking at the content so that when we're writing it, we can be more effective.
Right,
producers.
We're targeting, the right demographic with the way we're talking, with what we're talking about, all those different aspects.
Exactly. And then traffic sources. So we're going to dig into analytics here again, Google Analytics, and we're going to look at what are your top traffic sources. So for e-commerce, generally you're going to see 40 to 70% of your traffic coming from organic search, whether that's Google or Yahoo or Bing. Google owns about 70% market share in that space, and actually the second largest search engine is YouTube, which is owned by Google. So we're search engine optimizers, but we're really just studying Google's algorithm and applying what we learn to clients' websites. Because there's no benefit in studying Bing and Yahoo's search engines, because if you make those changes based on Bing and Yahoo, you're going to lose 80% of your traffic because that's coming from Google.
That's true. So we're really optimizing for Google searches specifically.
Exactly. So we're looking at traffic sources, right, as SEM professionals specifically search, but we also want to make sure that you have a healthy social media presence, just to aid the SEO. Like, one of the first questions I ask potential clients is, what's your social media strategy? What's your content strategy? And who's in charge of it? Because I don't want to be in charge of social. I don't want any part of social, but it is an important part of a rounded marketing strategy.
Right.
And then most viewed pages, so we're getting an understanding of where people are looking on your website. What are the important pages? We don't want to be optimizing a page that is irrelevant to your business. We want to be driving results for your business in the form of revenue or leads or customers. So we really want to understand where we can bring the most value with the least amount of effort. This 80-20 rule of 20% of the work is going to produce 80% of the results. So when we're doing these audits, we're figuring out how can we put in that 20% in the first 6 months to 2 years, so that over that time frame we see a big increase in traffic.
That makes lots of sense.
Moving down the list of product performance, this is similar to the most viewed pages in that we're looking towards the highest performing products and how we can optimize the existing traffic and get the most out of the current situation, rather than, we're not going to introduce new products for our clients. That's on them. We might do keyword research and say, hey, here's an opportunity, but we're not going to be involved in deciding which products to offer and stuff like that.
Right. There are ways to optimize your pages that, maybe make it easier for them to pick up a complementary product along with, the most popular products. But, aside from that, we're not fully launching the brand new products. That's kind of more the jobs of the marketing managers at the particular company.
Yeah. So we work with companies of all different sizes. We've worked with startups with no revenue and teams of anywhere from 8 to 12. And then we've worked with $100 million e-commerce businesses with, teams spread out all over the country, all over the world, with, lots and lots of resources where we're acting more as an advisor in terms of, bringing together design and development and content, and really making sure that those 3 different teams are cohesive in a way that's going to benefit the business long term. And then a competition analysis is absolutely critical for what we do as search marketers. A lot of understanding that 20% that we can really see the most gains is understanding, what are the possibilities? Who's out there now that's taking traffic that we could potentially have? So I'll usually pick anywhere from 4 to 8 competitors and do a full analysis. I'll look at their backlink profiles. I'll look at the number of indexed URLs on the site. I'll look at their site speed. I'll look at traffic trends over a period of 2 to 5 years previous. I'll look at their paid search as well as their organic. I'll tell you what their top landing pages are, what their top keywords are, what content on their sites generates the most links, the most social shares. And that can be really valuable data for a marketing manager who is busy with other stuff, right? Doesn't have time to do this analysis. So we can bring that expertise in and that sort of industry knowledge versus the skill set that we bring is complemented by this industry knowledge that we gain through keyword research and competition analysis. So that goes all the way down to paid keywords and duplicate content issues on their sites, URL construction issues, basically vulnerabilities that competitors may have that we can take advantage of. And then we're also going to pull data from Search Console. So we're going to tell you exactly how many impressions and clicks you're getting per month to each different URL on your site. So you can really see, you maybe have 5 or 10 pages which generate 60 to 80% of your search traffic. So I'll tell you what those pages are, and then I'll also tell you why those are the 5 to 10 pages. What queries are bringing people to those pages? How well are they ranking? What's your click-through rate? I can get all of this data from Search Console, and maybe in a future SEM Saturday, we show people how they can do that also.
Yeah, that'd be a
that should be on
idea.
our list.
Yeah, I think we'll do that.
So that's a big one, and this is something that we set up an automated export for you so that on the 3rd of every month, the previous month's data is automatically pulled out from Search Console and populates a Google Sheet so that over time you have not only a trend of impressions and clicks, organic impressions and clicks, data straight from Google, super valuable first party data versus some of these tools, Ahrefs, SEMrush. These are third-party tools. They're not 100% reliable. This data is 100% reliable.
Wow.
So it's really valuable, and it builds value over time also, because as you continue to gain more data, you continue to see new search queries. You understand, what the trends are in terms of your rankings for each query and each page, so you can really dig down and optimize each page.
That makes sense. Another thing to note, I think, just while I've been learning this whole process, it's really about optimization. You're never going to have it 100% perfect, but that's why we call ourselves practitioners. Google is changing its algorithm every day, and so all we can really do is just keep learning, keep up to the best of our abilities, and just keep trying all the new things that we've been trying. It's really an exciting field, and I think another thing to note is that this is a long-term investment. When you're focusing on organic clicks, it's more of a long-term thing because you really have to build that credibility.
Yeah, that's well said. And you build authority in search engines with good content and a good off-page strategy, and that plays into social and link building and promoting your content and all that. And we do offer those services. It's not our core competency, but we have done social, we have done link promotion and link building also. It's part of a generally rounded marketing strategy. So, and then moving on from search visibility to keyword research. So we pull this data from Search Console, and you'll get a dump of every query landing on your site, how many clicks it's generated, how many impressions it's generated per URL, and you'll see your click-through rate and the position that you're ranking there also. But there's more to keyword research because you want to continually grow your keyword profile, right? Mm-hmm. And I want to stress this is an ongoing process, right? Because you could really spend an infinite amount of time researching keywords because they can go so deep in terms of how low you want to go on this kind of, when we sort keywords, we sort them by volume, so we can see the highest volume keywords all the way down to the bottom. Mm-hmm. But it's an ongoing process. There's always new keywords popping up. As your business expands, you want to rank for things that you weren't ranking for before. So it's an ongoing process, but part of that keyword research is a positions report that's usually pulled from SEMrush or Ahrefs. There's a 90-day export from Search Console in there. And then we'll actually we'll pull keywords that your top competitors are ranking for, and we'll throw those into what we call your keyword universe. So those are like keywords that you don't currently rank for, but they're in the universe of whatever niche you're in. So looking towards the backlink analysis, we want to understand what the quality of your backlink profile looks like. So how many referring domains do you have? Are they trustworthy domains? How much authority do they bring? Was there any one link in particular? Maybe you got a link from the New York Times or the HuffPost. We want to maximize the benefit from those links. So we want to know about those. We want to know about your competition's backlink profile, and also if there's any sort of malicious activity going on in your backlink profile that needs to be disavowed. So that's a pretty comprehensive analysis. And then we do sort of an overview of social media, where I don't really like to dig deep into social. It's not really my thing. Maybe in the future we'll get into it. But I do like to make sure that you have branded profiles on all the social platforms, that you're active on those profiles. So this is really just an opportunity for me to explore more about the brand and make sure that they have a well-rounded marketing strategy, and it's a company that we want to work with, right? We want our clients to have strong presences, not just on search engines, but on social media as well. And, obviously we would prefer to work with companies who are, well respected in the marketplace, who have core values similar to the values that Monte Verde has. So that plays into the social media aspect. And then we do mobile usability testing also. So, you want a responsive website, or if you're a larger e-commerce player that has some capital to spend, maybe you want a desktop version of your site and a mobile version of your site. This is a common trend over the last 5 years or so, is to move away from responsive websites, at least in e-commerce, and more towards a desktop version and a mobile version, which is an interesting sort of shift in SEO. Kind of goes against what you'll read in most places where they say mobile first index, we need a responsive website. A lot of e-commerce players are actually going the opposite way there. And then we're going to look at what your strategy is in terms of on-site linking. So this is both internal linking and external linking. So search engines value content that builds on previous content. So when you're creating content, and this applies less to web copy and more towards content marketing and blogging and that sort of stuff. But when you're writing blogs and things like that, we want to be linking out to other sites in the niche who are well respected and have stellar content. Because if we can build on content that already has a good reputation, already carries authority, then it's going to be easier for us to, one, write good content, and two, rank it in search engines. Crawl errors. So this is 404 errors. We want to get an understanding of your 301 redirects. We want to make sure that you've implemented 301s instead of 302s. We want to make sure there's no 410s or 502s, server not responding or server denied access. So those sorts of things. And then when we do that crawl, we're also going to pull metadata so we can see, how are their title tags structured? Do they have unique meta descriptions that are well written and compelling?
Very important.
What are their URLs structured like? What are their response times? What's their page depth? Are pages accessible within just a few clicks, right? You don't want to bury content 20 clicks down in your website.
Right. You want to make it easier for your customer to be able to purchase something on your site if that's the goal. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to make it difficult for them to find what they're actually coming to your site already looking for. So
exactly. And then we're just going to see if we can check off the sitemap box, right? Do you have a valid sitemap? Is it comprehensive? Is it dynamic? Is it automatically generated, or is it outdated? And that's a Search Console thing as well. We want to make sure that you have provided Google with a resource that they can use to accurately crawl your site on a consistent basis. And then structured data. So this applies especially in e-commerce to product pages, right? So if a user is searching for a specific product, Google's long-term mission is to have that user stay on their site as long as possible, right? They don't want to give that traffic to e-commerce players. The only reason they do is because the user wants to go there. But if Google had their way, purchases would be completed through the Google platform, right? So the step that Google has taken in this direction is they're displaying prices and reviews on the search results pages. So is your website marked up in a way that displays reviews and prices, and is your brand marked up so that it's easy for search engines to pull that information?
You want a nice rich snippet for your product page.
Yes, exactly. Plays into rich snippets and site links and all these different things. These are all byproducts of how well you mark up the site with structured data. So that kind of concludes the search engine optimization part of it. And then we also look at, is there any opportunity for this business in paid search, right? Could they benefit from advertising on Google's AdWords platform? So we look at what the competition is doing. I think I said earlier, we tell you what keywords they're bidding on, what their ads look like, how much they're paying for those clicks. We go through all of that. And we want to do this at the beginning of a contract. We don't want to be doing this 8 months in after we've already done a significant amount of work. So if we can show an ROI on a paid ads platform, we want to start that from the beginning. We don't want to be 8 months behind. So we do go through AdWords. We look at the competition. We look at your site and see, do we think this site is fit for paid search? And if so, we'll make those recommendations. And then we kind of sum everything up and we say, these are the issues we encounter. These are some things you may want to consider. And then we'll put together a strategic action plan that we can execute over the next 6 months to 2 years, detailing step by step, what needs to be done for this business to see gains in the search market.
That's right. And I think this all kind of plays back to the original point, is that there's no way that you can kind of just say, all right, let's do this for 2 hours.
Right.
To truly grasp where you are as far as search engine optimization goes, we need to be doing these reports and really digging deep and getting this data so that we can understand and then come up with these strategies and a true action plan to optimize your website. So it's not a quick fix, but it is a very great long-term investment.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We really want to stress that this is a long-term strategy, our contracts are between 6 months and 2 years, but it's not like we're in a black box. We come up with key performance indicators, and then we send monthly reports letting the client know this is where we're at on each of these topics. These are what the KPIs look like. Just to be fully transparent and always keep in touch and make sure that everyone's pulling in the same direction, right?
Totally. I think
making sure that we're integrating with the existing marketing team in a way that benefits the business.
I think communication is something that is one of our core competencies as well. We're very open. We're very honest. We're not trying to wheel and deal or tell you something that you just want to hear. But yeah, we're just honest, good communicators. So I think that really plays into, giving reports and really keeping people updated with where we are.
Yep. Yeah, awesome. So I feel like you guys should have a pretty good idea of, how the scope of a site audit. We've gone through each point, and maybe in a future episode of SEM Saturday, we'll go through and actually show people the different slides and stuff like that we give to clients, and maybe we could go through a monthly report also. But
definitely,
I think we're out of time today. We're probably about 20 minutes over. Let's see how long we're at right now. We're 29 minutes. I think we said 10 minutes for this video.
Oh wow!
Yeah, but so we'll try and get that number down in future episodes. But glad you guys joined us today, and hope you learned something. And if you're interested in the site audit, send us an email.
Definitely. It was a pleasure.
All right. See you guys next week.